Today is a special day, and one of those reasons has to do with the theme music that you just heard. But welcome back to the F Money Show podcast. I'm your host, Fran. It's a big show today, and we were going to try something a little different. We're going to have a studio audience, and only one audience member showed up. Anthony Clapp, former co-host Anthony Lemma. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate it. And also, we have a past guest as the guest co-host today. I'd like to welcome Kevin McCall from Andorra.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Thank you for coming. You know, I only invited you so we could hang out, since we never hang out.
That's true, yes. We very rarely get to hang out.
So how was your holiday?
Uneventful. I don't know, just chilled, hung with the parents and the girl, and the usual things.
That's a good holiday.
Yeah, it was.
My big news was I got engaged.
I know, I saw that. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. That's wow, it sounds like a studio audience. That was my big news. It was just after New Year's, so
yeah,
it was.
That's awesome.
And unfortunately, Agatha wanted to come but couldn't come today. So you guys still haven't met her. One of these, maybe I'm making her up. She's my fiance in Canada.
She goes to a different school.
So now, Kevin, you're not a stranger to podcasting. Besides being on my podcast and other podcasts, you had or you still have your own podcast?
You know what I was thinking about the other day? I have not updated it recently, but I would love to continue doing my In Limbo music podcast.
I would. Did you have a comic book one also?
I did, yeah. A couple of buddies of mine, we had a comic book podcast called Cheers to Comics and More.
Ooh. And
the only thing that was really keeping that together was the theme song that we introed it with. It's like a Prince ripoff, but it was really cool. But yeah, I love talking shit, so.
Nice. My goal is to be invited on a podcast. I haven't been, other than running my own. I have not been invited on a podcast yet, so I'm not important enough.
Do you ever see Jimmy Fallon on a late night show?
Yeah.
That's not his own? Like
no.
He's being interviewed? That's what it would be like for you.
I would like that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Cool.
Jamie Salvatore suggested the Bobcast. He's like, you should maybe go on that one.
Yeah, I'll be on that next Tuesday. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. So we do have guests today. So I guess it's about time to introduce them. Without further ado, we have Bruce, Rich, and Ant from Knightlife. Welcome.
Yo!
What's up? First, I need to formally thank you for my intro music.
Yeah.
So that was that. I open up my radio show with that music and the podcast now every episode. So that's
that was a bit ago. I got that to you, right?
And that was really impromptu, actually.
Yeah, it was like immediate. I had the time and I did it.
I was I threw it out on social media. I'm like, I think I need a theme song. Can anyone help me out? And like within 10 minutes, you shot that over, which was pretty awesome, and it stuck.
Yeah.
So
I was on a groove there.
That was I love that theme music. So Andorra didn't get me anything.
Yeah, no presents.
It was one of those holidays.
Yeah.
Wait.
Uneventful.
So really, what impressed me was how quick. Yeah, I mean that was immediate. That really was immediate. So, is your musical output typically that immediate for you? Like you put your mind to it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because it's all just like forms to me, different forms of the same thing. Where's the 7 chord? I mean, I talk about these things constantly. So yeah, it's not like instantaneous by any means, but like a groove or an idea.
Okay. Awesome.
Maybe thrown down.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's very identifiable for me, that theme song. Like whenever I hear it, like it's pretty awesome. So thank you for contributing that, because that was a big deal for me. So I don't know if you realize that. And I know I said thank you, but
thanks again.
I recognize that it helps the show. Helps the show.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. It's better than me just talking or using whatever music.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
royalty-free.
I thought it was in limbo for a little bit. I didn't know what the state of it was. Like, I knew you liked it, but I was like, does he use this every time?
I do. I don't know. Like, I start every radio show with that and every podcast, with the exception of the first one. Like, from the second episode on, we've used it every episode. So,
that's amazing.
So, let me ask you some questions since I have you. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yes.
many of our guests that I've had on the podcast have maintained that sometimes less is more when playing as a live band. Like Jamie Salvatore really limits how often he plays live, like once a month, to try to make it more an event. I feel you have that exact opposite approach, and not in a bad, I don't mean that in a negative connotation, but it seems like you're definitely putting yourself out there more often. So is that on purpose? Like, is your approach definitely, are you just playing any gig you can get, or are you saying we need to be out there as much as possible?
It's a good one. It's a good question. I would say that we want to be out there as much as possible. We want to take every gig. Like, we operated from that stance pretty much from the beginning. Rich knows that. That's just the way that we're wired. We've had like talks and discussions about, like, as we are growing into this and doing it as regularly as we do, like, there's definitely like periods where we take off. Like, people might not notice that we've taken off, but we've taken off. Like,
it's a drop in frequency.
Yeah, for the past like 3 weeks we haven't done anything, but next week, the following week, the week after that, and the week after that we have shows. So we try to like let it live and be like an ebb and flow thing, and work for our schedules, what we want to do. So time management plays a role in that. I think though the model of like limiting one or doing just one show helps that event building. Helps that like climacticness, which is something that we like will fall in and out of. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have shows we bring people to, and then no one else brings people to. And
well, that's how
it's down. And then there's shows where they bring people to, and we don't bring anybody to, and that changes it all. So it's like cat and mouse.
That was where I was heading with that, was with the frequency. Does that affect your attendance? If you're playing more off, like when you did the Grape Room, your residency, where you did every Thursday for a month. Yeah. Did you see attendance really fluctuate, or was it building?
Yeah, I don't even know if you could gauge that. I think it's tough to gauge that. Yeah. But like the sense of it is, it's kind of a wild card each time, and that's part of the show. That's part of getting better. It gives us a chance to have that like habitual thing. It really, I think, falls more back on like our development as a group. What we want to do.
Like, we enjoy playing live together, especially like the three of us. And so like, we kind of establish whatever the environment for that live show is. If there's like, a few people listening, there's a bunch of people, we attune to that because we enjoy playing live, because, we're playing the three of us very frequently together on a consistent basis, as it is, plus shows. So.
Yeah. Right. And I would imagine, and you touched on this, depending on who else is on the card. Yeah. That's going to fluctuate if someone has a bigger following or less of a following. That's really going to greatly affect your audience for that night. So, and I appreciate that with Kevin, with the cards you put together are so diverse. A lot of the times that I've seen and I know I've said this to you before, but most of the bands I do on New Artist Spotlight on my show, I get from concerts that you've put together, because otherwise I wouldn't have heard of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is great. So and I'm sure there's plenty of bands with a big draw that I have no idea who they are still. Yeah. And that's I like that you're out there as much as you are, because I see your name popping up all the time, and that's important. Right. I'm probably more likely to go to one of your shows because of the frequency than, say, like if Jamie's only playing once a month, that day I may be out of town, and that's that's
you miss it, it's gone.
Yeah. So I definitely see both sides.
Yeah. Ant was making the joke. Ant has a good
there is definitely a downside to it, where like, especially in considering like the the Grape Room, we played all the Thursday nights. We had the residency in December. I think sometimes people have a mentality of like, oh, they're playing every week, like I'll just catch them next week, like if I can't make it or something. So I think that's like the downside to the frequency. Yeah. Sometimes.
Right. Like I said, it's cat and mouse. Like there is no perfect solution answer or what have you.
And I'm sure there's all the other outside factors. Like, we're sitting here right now talking, and I'm watching the snow come down outside. If you had a gig tonight, like, I would imagine that's going to affect who.
Not going to that one.
Well, with Andor, I think it downpours every time you guys play a show.
That sucks. That's a bitch. I was going to say, I had a music teacher who was like pretty influential, and like just not so much in like in a teaching aspect, but more in like, he'll give you really good advice and you'll kind of take it for life. But he said never turn down a show no matter what, and that really definitely resonated with you guys, I think. And any chance you get to play in front of people, especially if you're doing it for yourselves, and that's definitely what it is. It's, you know, for me, when I don't play, I get like stressed and agita, and I need to play to
cabin fever,
get that out, you know. So it's awesome that you guys get to do that whenever you feel like it. Because
you always learn from something that goes on.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, even if it's something that goes wrong that you can take away, that's like, I learned that lesson. Now I'll never make that mistake again.
And that seems to be a common theme too. Even with national touring bands, they said they can be on the road for 6 months straight, and they need a break. But then they get a week's break, and they're itching, like they're already like, all right, I need to play again.
Yeah, I need to get back at it.
So that's all. I guess if you didn't, you wouldn't be doing it. You know,
Right.
It's why we do it. You know, we don't do it to have Instagram accounts, because, you know, that's what sometimes it essentially turns into. If you're not gigging, then there's no reason to like continuously.
There's like an idealism of some image of something.
Yeah.
That's the goal, rather than having the experience of doing all that.
Right.
Like,
because you enjoy it.
I know it's great to have followers on social media, and it's great to get streams. But is it about the live show for you? Like, is that what's important? Like, regardless, even if you didn't have a song on Spotify or Apple Music and no social media following, is really what keeps you going? Is it the writing the music? Is it the performing the music live? Is it the gratification of having someone say, yes, I like it? All of the above?
Also, recording definitely.
Yeah, I
is a
think.
big thing for you too.
I was gonna say a culmination of things. It's probably all those things in a pot stirred around. But the recording drives it for me. Like the composition of the songs, writing the songs, Aaron and I's relationship, like producing the songs. Like I want to make songs. I just want to constantly make songs. So like that drives a lot for me. But taking those songs and like playing live, like keeping those songs alive, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like gratifying to the self, and I think it's gratifying to like put that out there.
Yeah. Now, the first time I saw you live, and I think I shared this story with you at your album premiere at the Grape Room, was back in 2015. Now, how long has Knightlife been?
2013 probably.
2013? And have Rich and Ann, have you...
We've all come in at different sections of time throughout the years. I'm second long, I guess. 2014.
Okay.
I think it was kind of before that.
A little bit before that.
Yeah.
So it was 2015, and I have a friend from Austin in a band called Hookah Hay, and you know, down in Austin, he was saying, you know, they can fill rooms of 1,000 people, you know, and Austin's got its own particular scene too, and that's basically where they play. So they decided to tour, and they got a gig. I can't remember who the headliner was at the show, but it was at the Bourbon and Branch, and it was, you guys were opening, and I bought a ticket, and I was going to surprise him. I didn't tell him I was coming, and I'm like, I don't even know if he'll see me or if he'll recognize me. Well, when I walked in, I was the only one there. So apparently the headliner...
You were at that Bourbon and Branch gig.
The headliner had tickets. The Flyers were in the playoffs. They had playoff tickets, and they backed out in the last second. So we're going to the Flyers game.
I do,
So I walked in during your set, and I was like, oh, I'm the only one here. And obviously my friend Jesse recognized me because I was the only one. He was happy that I showed up, but I got to see you guys perform. It was just me. Yeah. And they played their whole set too, which I was impressed. Yeah. Just for me, you don't get to see that. They're like, we could use the practice, on the stage. Well,
especially when you're touring around, it's like, every stop is a win. Let's stop and see what's going on.
Did you get a percentage of my like $8?
Yeah, that night? I don't know how that was cut out. I think that went to the house. Yeah, the sound guy took that $8, put it in his pocket.
That's fine.
But the one thing I took away from that show, like having no distractions and being able to focus, was how phenomenal of a guitar player you are. That's the one thing that stands out, even at the Grape Room during your album premiere party. Your guitar playing really stood out to me.
Thanks.
So what do you consider yourself more as a musician? Is it a guitar player? Is it a songwriter?
I got no idea. All I know is Rich is the best bass player on this planet. I make that joke every time. I want to touch the attention over there. I don't know what I would say about myself. Like, it all kind of synthesizes to me as one thing. It's like a person of music, like the guitar playing, the songwriting. I'm like trying to branch out and do different things, like get on the drum set, like I did that last night.
I think every time
jam.
that there's an approach to, like, I guess if you can consider like a grouping of songs like an album, there's like different roles that I think are like kind of vaguely carved out for certain people. Like I think, you know, previously this initial one was very much like, I don't know, like derived from a compositional standpoint, and then like an additive from me and Anthony, whereas like maybe more recent things have kind of
So
been,
true.
you know, flip-flopped a little bit here and there, like sharing things rather than,
Yeah, like I'll bring songs into practice and I'll be like, all right, here's my song. Let's talk about the song. Do you like this? Do you not like this? What do you want to change?
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's totally like flipped on its head in a way. It's like, now I want to write songs with the band. I want to be in the room, like coming up with it live time. What do you think? What do you hear, Ant? Like, we all have the ears for it. It's that is like really thrilling, and I'm happy that the band has like moved in that direction, like grown up in that way.
Well, I was going to say, I guess that happens when you trust your bandmates and you're comfortable
definitely true.
with who they are and what kind of musicians they are. Like, if you didn't trust them, I'm sure you'd be going, all right, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah, they smashed like 6 of my tunes, and I'm like, oh, I'll just write the songs with them.
But that's awesome. It's so when did you first pick up your instrument?
I was in high school. I was probably in like 10th grade.
Okay.
So I started on like the bass. Like I got, you know, lessons on the bass, and you know that was no good. And then because I played the cello like in 3rd grade, so I started playing with the cello. And I picked up the guitar. Like kind of was self-taught. When I went to university, I took, you know, classical guitar lessons.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's all really like come from myself, just like developing the ear. Like I think developing your ear is the most important thing as a musician.
Do you have interest in other instruments? Like,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, okay, so it's not just I'm a guitarist and I love guitar. It's I love music, and I want to be a part of it.
I think between the both of us, this past year we went on like a journey to just kind of be like the best musicians that we can, and along with that, it kind of came with like playing with different people that we're not accustomed to. So I think it's just kind of growing and continuously trying to evolve your craft, and you know, like that's what we really connected on, and you know, that's why we started a cover band, and that's why we, you know, jamming with a bunch of different people now. So and I think that's ultimately the main goal.
And I would say too, like for myself, like to go to the guitar player, like how you see yourself type of idea.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be like shredded in front of people's faces like all the time, and I don't need to do that. And like I feel like I want to like reel back in and get more to that like center of what it is, because just being like more like a holistic, I think it's just more fun. Just more fun to like do the simple thing. Like you'll hear John Mayer like talk in his interviews of just like, you know, playing like really solid, smooth, buttery guitar is just like in this center space. Like you don't need to go out of it. Just stay in it, you know?
But it's a skill, and sometimes less is more. And some people can just shred and that's it.
Too.
And some people can hold a melody and that's it. You know, I thought it was interesting reading when Chris Cornell joined Audioslave. He's like, yeah, Tom Morello is one of the best riff players in the world, but he goes, I kind of had to teach those guys melody.
Right.
I think a lot of that's true. It's more true than we think, like in all those people's career and what they're good at, yeah.
So is there more collaboration stuff going? Like, I know you guys have the cover band. Are you finding that a good source of influence from each other, like kind of like not a competition but like a friendly, like propping each other up, taking each other to the next level kind of thing?
Yeah, I feel like the endeavors we went on were good. I mean, I could play Caravan like right now. I could stop this podcast right now.
There's been a lot of exposure to a lot of different music, and it's also stemmed from like I think like that collaborative nature kind of exposed us to a time in music that was also very collaborative among some people, and so we listened to a lot of the things that are reflective of that. Yeah, and that, you know, that in turn has, you know, consequently exposed us to even more and more music that we have been consistently inspired by since that point. So
and I think we just want to know songs. So like at any given point, like you said, like we could all go and play Caravan. So like you know, and I learned that for them to play it with them, and then you know, I guess it's like a healthy morale booster for us to just kind of be like, hey, what are you doing every Thursday in December? Do you want to just play Christmas songs with me at the Grape Room. So
Did Rocky.
Yeah, we did Rocky.
Yeah, we
Song.
gotta
That's
call
a
that
whole
out.
different-
That's a
Absolutely,
huge
yes.
thing.
And so like we just kind of want to like share music with each other and play that music that we've shared with each other.
And I think it's like fun to be doing like different things that you're not typically doing all the time. Like we played the Rocky the one time and it was just like the one-off thing, and then we do the Christmas music. Like, doing different things I think keeps it fresh for you, so that you're not just going out there and doing the same thing every single week or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a sense of community too. I think if you look back through musical history, every time a band becomes successful, it's typically a scene.
Yeah,
and
it's
a lot
a
of
culture.
you look at New York in the late 70s or Seattle in the 90s. Or Minneapolis in the 80s. It's definitely a scene that kind of like breeds each other, and you all come through, and it's nice to see. I mean, because you guys could easily just be like, fuck those guys. Like, like I want that gig. I don't want them to get it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely much more a community than anything else, which I appreciate. And I love the fact that I could see Kevin at one of your gigs, or you see the same crowd, like Anthony or Dr. Dave. You guys know Dr. Dave. Yeah, so didn't they think that was your dad?
I hope
Or
not.
someone didn't someone
No, somebody at there's a guy named Joel who works security for a bunch of music venues like Underground Arts and Milky Way.
Yeah.
And I guess Dave was outside smoking a cigarette, and he was like, "I'm talking to your dad out here," and I was like, "That dude's not my dad."
But Dave's
I know Joel.
But Dave's a great guy.
Big
as
ragger.
far as not only does he love music, he loves the local scene and goes to all the
Definitely.
local shows. He supports. Whenever I see pictures, he's like right up front. He's there early and right up front, and I love that about not just the bands, but the people that go to see them locally. You can see the same people at all your shows, which is great. I mean, that's part of the community. Like, I definitely feel like part of the community. You guys all come on my podcast and we talk and we follow each other on social media, and I think that's important. You need all aspects of that community, I think.
Definitely.
So one of the things that, speaking of working with other bands and doing other things, one of the things I've noticed about seeing Knightlife live is that I don't know who I'm going to see on that stage. And, because it could be a 3-piece, it could be a 5-piece. I don't even know is it always the same 5 members regardless? Like, or do you have other people fill in sometimes? Like when you were doing the residency, it wasn't the same lineup all for the whole month, was it?
Depends, I guess, which residency. I think the first residency we did in December was just the 3-piece.
Okay.
Each time. And then, the one in this December we did with Kevin each time. So that was another rendition of our lineup.
And even Aaron has another band. Like he opened up.
Yeah, he opened up the album release. Yeah. So I guess the best way I would describe it is just Aaron's the producer. Aaron's the producer. Aaron's the man. Aaron's like the guy who can coordinate a lot of things behind the scene to get a lot of the production done, which is his moniker, the producer.
Nice. Well, who do you obviously the three of you are here today.
Yeah.
What do you consider the lineup of Knightlife?
This is the band.
This is the band?
This is the band.
Okay. All right.
Like, this is the band. Yeah.
Okay. So when Aaron's not there, who's picking up the singing?
So we'll sing. Me and Rich will sing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it in terms of like the origins of the vocal melodies and stuff will either be between the two of us initially, but at least in some capacity.
Yeah. And a big thing that we're aware of is that, like your voice as an instrument, your voice on like an original song, right, where there's not like pre-prescribed notes you got to be hitting. Like there's a intention, there's a mood, there's a feel that you bring to it, and you got to bring that. If you don't bring that, we don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, don't show up. That's what I want to say. Don't show up if you don't bring that. So when Aaron approaches a song, he has that liberty to touch it how he is meant to be, singing it. And when I'm doing things or when Rich is doing things, I want us to feel like confident in that realm that we have like the liberty to bring different things to it each time and have it be a living.
Like you're not doing Aaron's thing, you're doing your own.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're not trying to emulate.
Our own voice.
No, not trying to emulate.
It should be natural. It should
Yeah.
be imparted from your own.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it, like an easy way to I just like the lineup thing or like 4-piece, 5-piece is like kind of like I think we feel like we're kind of like the core, like the three of us, and then we add to that sometimes. Like we have this for this event, for that event, or whatever we're doing at that particular moment.
Yeah.
But I like that that's open. I like that it's not defined.
Yeah.
To where you feel like if one person's not there, it's like, oh, well, we're not really fully
Firing
here
on all
tonight.
cylinders. Yeah.
But like as long as the three of you are there, you're like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
You know, and I like that. I like that. I like that. I don't know what I'm going to get when I show up.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure each show takes on its own element.
Yeah, it does. And I think because the music is written from us, it's like born of us, you know, like we're able, like I said, that flair, like that different thing, different tinge, that energy. Like people always talk about that energy, you know, when they see us, they'll be like, oh, I noticed that, or I felt that. And it's like, yeah, that was the point.
And that's one of those things, you know, obviously I got to hear the album before it was released, and I was listening to it. But it really takes on a whole nother experience live. The live energy that you guys have on stage is phenomenal, and that's what I took away from that. Actually, it was hard because I was doing a live broadcast that night. Once you guys went on, I just stopped broadcasting because I wanted to pay attention. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do the other stuff. So I was like, I was totally really blown away, and I was glad I was there and given that opportunity because I may not have been there that night if it wasn't for that. So it was nice to be able to experience that. Yeah. So
yeah, it was great to have you there.
Oh, thank you. And you know, for those of you that are listening that haven't seen Knightlife live, and you've only heard their music, you definitely need to see them live. Same with Andor. You know, it's most of these bands. You're musicians. It's not happening on a laptop in a studio. Yeah. It's happening. So when you're writing music, let's just say, is it jamming, or are you writing a song? And like, I know you kind of mentioned it, like, or is it happening all different ways? Like, will you get together, jam, and say, I like that, let's do this? Or are you sitting down, you got an idea, it's pre-formed, you bring it to the band?
Yeah, so like most recent, we did like just we just like took turns.
We did like 4 jams.
Yeah, lay a groove, your groove. Yeah, trying to get songs that way. Okay. Trying to pull from that way. So that's been like a new little experiment that we've tried each of the last practices that we've had. So, but you know, like I said, in a couple months ago, even, you know, I'm bringing a song, like an idea. I've made a demo. I've sent the demo. We're gonna work on it that way. But we're on this like mission to set up our rehearsal space to be able to live track us there. Okay. Right. And actually, you know, Aaron's involved in that production too. Like he, you know, gave us an old Mac like computer to have that. We got like a i99 interface to run Pro Tools. So we're like getting all these things set up to have like this really like do-it-yourself like space, because we've been recording ourselves on our iPhones for the past last year, and we've been like, wow, we sound real tight, and we don't use a click in the studio. Like, what if we could just track here?
Yeah.
There's a lot of communication that was built around playing live so much, especially in this core 3 piece that we've been doing. So I think that like having the basement set up is like, you know, had a lot of like stuff going into it and a lot of motivation to try and just like kind of just put down some new stuff in a new way. And I mean, even in some of the other songs that we had recorded previously, just most recently too, like new ways of trying to record them. Like we were doing some more live stuff like in studio with Aaron.
In studio, like instead of saying, you know, my guitar is going to be a scratch, like we're just going to throw it out, we're going to use that guitar, we're going to reamp that guitar. So then it's like, all right, we are tracking this really, really live. You know, without me in the process of it, it's kind of like, all right, well, he's just going to track that later. You know what I mean? It's not the full band, but like I'm actually could influence the music. Could like not just be like, oh, I'm just a reference point. Like I need to be the guy that is the most focused on like time, tempo, where we're at, like being constant. But now I can like feel the music a little bit more, push the music, and I feel like that does have an impact.
It's a communication between everyone playing.
On both those tunes, or how many ever tunes we did that for.
And I'm sure playing as live is, as much as you do, helps that communication. And
absolutely.
That definitely. So
yeah, it helps us like when we get in the space, it's just, you know, it's just another thing, you know, another take. And Aaron's real good. I mean, Aaron's the dominant producer, because like what he can do with our live playing, like it's the way to format it later. Like say if we really like take 1's beginning, we really like the way take 2 finishes out. We just like put that together, have it sound nice in the beginning, like no like problems on that end. You know what I mean? Like, and really us all having a conversation, identifying what is the best piece of it. So I think that like encouragement is a major prop to what he adds to us, and that's what he adds. Like, that's it.
All right, I'm going to change directions just a little bit.
Sure.
And I want each of you to answer, not just one.
Here we
of you.
go.
Musical influences.
Oh man.
I know this is always a tough one. I always get groans, but it's and a lot
I
of
think
people.
Ant's got a good one.
A lot of people will say it doesn't matter what my influences
Yeah.
are, and that's cool too. If you want your music to stand alone, but like when I listen to music, I'm constant, because nothing's original anymore.
Yeah.
Everything's born from something else, and I always try to deconstruct it and try to figure out, what those influences are, and I can't pinpoint it with you guys. And that's what's interesting, because every time I think I maybe know, it goes in a different direction. So I'm curious.
Yeah, when you put our music into it, like that takes on a whole nother like life of what is our like our music sound like and what influences go into it. So I think that's almost even a separate question from what you are personally influenced by.
Yeah.
But like personal influence, I would just say like in the present moment, I'm really influenced by Van Morrison,
Right.
Eagles, Joe Walsh. I mean, the band, The Last Waltz, like that's the stuff. And sometimes I check myself. Bob Seger, saw Bob Seger over the summer. But sometimes I check myself. I'm like, I just like all this old shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's my deal? But no, it's the best. And Rich touched on it earlier, like the community culture thing. In those recordings and those things that you can find, it's there, it's evident. And I don't care if that makes me a nerd.
No,
or,
I think if you like music, that's natural. Like all the artists that you said you're into right now were probably the same artists I was into at your age.
Yeah.
And then
Well, that's interesting.
I started probably like junior high discovering the Beatles.
Yeah.
And then it progressed to this, and then it maybe I was at I'm dating myself, but like the dawn of hip hop. So it's like original hip hop I was in junior high when hip hop really started taking with Run DMC and even Beastie Boys didn't even hit till I was in high school. So it's you go through that natural progression of discovery, I think, and going back and going, who's this? Oh, they influenced this band. Let me check out this band. So
true.
Right.
Yeah, you listen to Weezer, then you figure out he loved Brian Wilson. You're like, oh, so he's just making Beach Boys songs.
Yeah, basically.
Little emo twist.
Yeah.
But and not everyone's as talented as everyone else, so that's his version of the Beach Boys, which is awesome. That's how you get something a little bit different.
Yeah, right.
All right,
What are you gonna say, Ian?
Rich and Ant, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm wearing the Led Zeppelin hoodie.
That could have been a fashion statement.
Yeah, that's always been my biggest influence, especially just drumming wise. I was always just like huge fan of John Bonham, and like you're saying, like you got into the Beatles like junior high or whatever. I think we go through those phases where we like certain bands or we're like heavy into something, and it's funny because like I don't listen to Led Zeppelin as much anymore, but it still just really influences me. Like I go back and listen to our studio tracks, and I'm like, oh, that's something like subconsciously I just like pulled from John Bonham, like at some point or whatever, like But yeah, Zeppelin has always been a huge influence for me.
All right, favorite Led Zeppelin song, because I know what mine is.
That's tough.
I could narrow it down to one.
I would say, I mean, the Rain song is like pretty high up there for me, which is kind of funny because it's not even like a heavy like drum song in particular. But yeah, I would probably go the Rain song.
It's just a beautiful song.
Yeah,
It is a beautiful song. Sometimes it goes with experience. My favorite Led Zeppelin song is 10 Years Gone.
Yeah, that's a good
I love
one.
that.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
the way that builds, and I just happened to be driving around in a fast car in a heavy rainstorm when that song like came on one day, and it was just like I was driving down like country roads. I'm like,
Yeah.
as it slowly builds. So it's experience, not just it's my experience with that song. Why I love that song so much. All right, Rich, come on.
Yeah, I mean, likewise, junior high listening to the Beatles, that was a major thing. I was pretty big on Paul McCartney and his like compositions that he brought, so I started playing like acoustic guitar in 8th grade, but I played it like a bass, so I bought a bass in my sophomore year of high school.
So Paul McCartney, you think directly influenced you for bass?
I think that was a very substantial basis, but I think after a while it was like I was listening to the Beatles so much that I just got so tired of it, and I was exposed to a lot of stuff that is kind of more reflective of what I listen to now when I was a child. So I think it's returned to a lot of things that are kind of similar to what both what Bruce and Anthony have said, like the band, Van Morrison. I listen to a lot of bass stuff now comes from like Motown. James Jamerson, any track that he has played on.
Name the Chief, man.
And Marvin Gaye, of course. Marvin Gaye. So yeah, a lot of that. Fleetwood Mac, love Fleetwood Mac. Did we mention?
No, we didn't mention.
We
Yeah.
mentioned Fleetwood
Yeah.
Mac. Yeah, that was
Mac.
huge for a while, especially.
Sometimes it takes someone to point something out about someone. There's, my mind's easily changed when it comes to music. I cannot like someone, but if someone can approach it in a way or give me an approach to it, like Hall & Oates. I was talking with someone one time. I was like, whatever. And he goes, no, go back and listen to Sarah Smile, but listen to it in headphones and just think of all the soul that you love from the 60s and 70s. Now picture the best white boy version of soul and just listen to it and listen to it that way. Totally changed my mind. And even Rolling Stones, I was never a huge Stones fan. And the same guy pulled me aside and went, stop talking shit about the Stones. He goes, because your precious Ryan Adams doesn't exist without Exile on Main Street. Right. He's like, so go back and listen to Exile on Main Street and just think of all these bands that you love don't exist without this album.
Yeah.
And it gives you a fresh perspective, and you're like, okay, yeah, I dig it.
Yeah.
So you guys, you like Stones? Yes.
Yeah,
No?
Rich.
Yeah,
Stones.
I just had a huge sort of reinvestment into them. I never I was never really big into them for the longest time because I feel like people always force this notion of Beatles or Stones onto you, and I was like, oh well, Beatles.
You were obviously
of course.
Beatles, right?
I was doing the
But
same
then,
exact thing.
I had Let It Bleed on a vinyl, and I was like, why am I not listening to this? Many people, I see this all the time. Why am I not listening to this? So many people are talking about it, and it's like, this is amazing. And it was also, I was in a mindset where I was open to just receiving music, and like you had said, you sit down, you let yourself intentionally listen to what's going on. And the whole artistry of it is just once you sort of remove all those sort of pre-made labels that you had for it.
You have
Impressive.
preconceived notions, like you think of Keith Richards as a character,
Yeah.
not as a musician. But then when you realize
Yeah.
this guy is just a fan and student of the blues, and that's
Absolutely.
all he
Right.
cares about, then you see it a little bit differently, and you start deconstructing, and you're like, oh, I get it. I didn't get it before. I'm seeing it. It's like one of those pictures that you stare at and you wait for the until it comes into focus.
The virtual
it's like
image.
Yeah, it's like one of those. All right, Kevin, you get to join in. What's your
Influences?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what I think because I don't play any instruments. Everyone influences me, but
I guess.
Let me just say Tom Petty.
Yeah, well, Tom Petty, of course. The Running Down a Dream documentary, which just kind of changed a lot of things for me in the past year or so. We had this thing contracted, and we needed to play a show, and it was supposed to be an Andor thing, and I was like, Andor's not around, but I gotta put a band together. So I was like, and I was really into Tom Petty at the time, so I was just like,
Was I in this band?
right. So then we just threw it together, and we had a good time, and it kind of started the cover thing. And again, I think we've all been on the same page about tracing the roots of the artists that influenced our favorite modern artists.
Yeah.
So we've been backtracking and checking out some older stuff. So yeah, that's that's kind of where we're all aligned, and why we've been hanging out and
Awesome.
playing together.
when you go back and discover older music for influences, are you more inspired by the music or the lyrics, or is it a little bit of both? Are any of you lyrics? I would
think-
say I'm definitely a music, I'm a feel person.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't appreciate good lyrics. I do, but typically it's if you can get me to tap my foot.
When you hear weird lyrics, though, it's a total turn off.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was corny. Don't
Probably.
skip that.
Yeah, I would say talk about Styx. I got really into Styx and Dennis DeYoung, and I just think some of his lyrics, what he's singing about. He has this one song, "I'm Okay," on the album Pieces of Eight, and those lyrics is just. It's kind of like what happens today still.
Yeah.
And the grand illusion.
Yeah.
This is the grand illusion. Deep down inside, we're all going to be
Yeah.
okay. Themes like that resonate with me today still.
And
Even though
they're-
it's older, dated songs.
And they're good themes, but he does it in a little bit more of a theatrical way,
Yeah.
kind of like a Freddie Mercury, the way it's
Yeah.
approached, but you just kind of have to see below the line a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely take some liberty with it and get past some of the corniness or things that you put onto it.
Yeah.
But I think they're phenomenal.
They
Styx
are
is phenomenal, definitely.
And even though like I don't know if you've ever seen like the behind the music on sticks.
No,
Like,
probably as like a younger youth. But.
they hate, like the rest of the band kind of hated Dennis DeYoung.
Oh, yeah.
but they loved him.
Yeah, but
like,
he sang all the hits,
like,
right? They hate him, but he sang all the hits.
They
I'm
love
here for you, Dennis.
They loved being they loved being in a band with him. You know, even though
Yeah.
like personally, like he drove them all crazy.
Yeah.
They're like when you were on the stage and you were belting one of those out. They were like, there was nothing like it. That's
Yeah.
what we wanted to do. They just didn't want to do Mr. Roboto.
Yeah,
that was
bad turn.
yeah. That was
Not there for you, Dennis.
Yeah, not there. Definitely.
All right, so I want to talk about the last album.
Sure.
All right, so the last time I saw you guys was at the album premiere at the Grape Room in Manayunk, and you know there's some good people in the audience there. I noticed Philly legend Ken Queter in the audience that night, and you know it was a great gig. So, but I never really got to talk to you after that. So how was the reception to the album
I think
to the public?
reception was pretty strong. I think people really into it. The people that we got the ear of. After that fact, like in the new year, Kevin, this is definitely like one of the heighted things that we did. Like we put together a mailer and sent the record out to radio stations.
Okay.
We didn't really get any bites from that. We got maybe, what was it, 2 people to hit us back?
Yeah.
I think in total.
It's tough.
So those 2 people are waiting for the next record. They have just been
But that's
frothing at the mouth.
But that's how it starts.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like the real reception of it. We did like a PR campaign that definitely got the record online. So if you Google, Forever Fight Knightlife, you're gonna get like positive things said about it. You're gonna get good acclaim. You know what I mean?
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars, pretty much. And that's what you want to see if you're trying to like push it, like me and Kevin or we and Kevin did. To other people who have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
So that's the model, I think, and I think that's a model that we'll follow until the model works or something new is suggested.
I think it's tougher today because it's overload.
Yeah.
There's a lot of saturation. Yeah.
There's definitely is, and I mentioned to Kevin on the last podcast, like when I go to the Grape Room and you go in the bathroom and you see the walls coated with band stickers. The last time I went in, I didn't know any of the bands, and I'm like, I don't even know if these bands are still together.
I booked all of those.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't know if these guys are still bands, if they died and no
true.
one noticed.
right.
It's like, are they still alive? Like, this is a lot of
You guys ever
hopes
see
and
the-
dreams on this bathroom wall.
You ever see Hans Gruber and the Die Hard sticker?
No,
Obviously
No.
a Die Hard reference.
Yeah.
It sounds like a phenomenal band, but I've never heard of them. But
Never
I've seen
seen
their
that.
sticker in multiple places and potentially
seen the
multiple
sticker.
universes as well.
Now, is that where you saw the Elvis de Presley?
No, that's like a national
Okay. All right.
alternative band.
All right, I need to listen to that now just because I love that name so much.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley.
So and I'm sure it's hard to get that word out there. So, but the reception that you got, like social media, I'm sure just from friends and family and locally, like I heard nothing but good things.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the people's ears that we do have like it, support it, and honestly are excited to hear another record. I mean, when you float something out on social media and you get the same people like returning back to it, I think that's just a sign that you've built something.
You got a fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is there new music in the works?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Is it being recorded, been recorded, working on?
Yeah, so we're like 9 tracks deep on the like next formal record, I guess
Oh,
you would
nice.
say. So we need to track one more, but like we were saying a little bit earlier, getting the basement, getting Ant's place like set up so that we can track live and be live there has been like a priority over the holiday season, which I kind of enjoyed.
Awesome.
Like the take back from
a
going
good
to errands
project.
and tracking there. Yeah, it's a good project to be involved in.
Building shelves.
So, yeah, we have that working out. And really the goal with that is to have music come from that, to have a record come from that or have something come from that. In terms of formal plans, don't really have any formal plans, but I like the open-ended question.
Were there tracks that didn't make Forever Fight?
Not really.
Everything you recorded made it?
Yeah, everything that we've recorded, yeah.
Were there things that maybe were close but you just didn't record? You didn't feel it was worth recording?
There's a couple like older songs that Rich and I played on and recorded in formal studios that like could be Go Back to the Well songs.
I was just going to ask you
And
that
there's
if you
some
had
things
any.
now that kind of have resurfaced from that age.
Yeah, there's like a
capacity.
funny like just part of a song that me and Rich probably never forget, but don't know when it will be in a song. You
Yeah.
know, so
Superman's an example of that, though.
Superman is.
Going
you're right.
In a more
you're right.
distinct
That is-
fashion,
yes.
song-wise,
Yeah, that was
definitely
one. Well, that's going to be on the next record. Like
Right.
that's
Right.
not even on
Right.
Forever Fight, and
But
it's
you've been
probably
playing
like
that
a
for
like a
forever.
an
mind
old song now.
like a mind effer there. Like people probably are like, yeah, Superman's on the first record. No, it's not.
No.
So, not locally, nationally, how do you guys feel about today's? Because we talked about influences, what you're getting into, and we're talking a lot of old music.
Yeah,
What do you feel about today's overall music scene in general?
it's all right.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if-
I don't
if-
know, like what I get down with in the modern age. Like
It's tough.
we prop up John Mayer, we prop up Bruno Mars. We say we like those things.
I
I don't
John
know.
Mayer. I was just
Yeah.
listening to Continuum. I
Yeah.
go to back to Continuum.
Continuum's
a
so
lot.
good,
Continuum's
but then you
great.
look at the date on Continuum and you're like, this isn't modern. Like,
Yeah.
2001, right? Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
All
were
right.
in high school.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
Run through the halls
younger,
of my high
yeah.
school.
Right.
I don't know if that's on that record. I'm real
No,
sorry.
I don't think it is.
It's not. That's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for.
All right,
is
the
first.
fact checker
Yeah.
here.
You know what I did for the new year? I kind of told myself, in efforts to try and listen to modern music because it's kind of difficult to find
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
rock bands that aren't like a little too sissy, that are also not a little too butt rock. To listen to an album a day that's from either 2017 onward,
Okay.
and listen to it into its entirety, and that that's it, just to try it, because we've been backtracking so much recently
Yeah.
that I'm like, all these 2019 year in review album articles came out for albums, and like, I don't know any of this stuff, so and we should try to be hipper to some of that stuff.
It's tough because I know when I listen to the radio, like I did my last show was my top 30 most listened to songs of 2019. You maybe only heard half of those on the radio.
Yeah.
And it's I do that myself. I just not dumpster dive, but like I'll go into Apple Music and just say, all right, let me hear all the new releases and pick out something that like hits me in a way I wasn't expecting,
Yeah.
and I'll listen to it across the board just to get. It's hard because to me it's all starting to sound the same a little
Well,
bit.
I feel like it's difficult too because I think in some way music is wrapped in an image.
Yeah.
Where everything's on the phone. You always see the
Yeah.
image associated with the music. So if it doesn't necessarily pass that threshold of something that that you might want to listen to anyway, you're not gonna dive in. So I think like what Kevin was saying, like it's sort of, if you listen to it, like you can appreciate the artistry from it, and just go past that point of this is not what I want. But I mean, I don't know. For me, I think it's wrong to say that there's no good music anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
recently.
yeah, definitely.
No, and music goes through stages where it gets stale and then
Yeah.
reborn, and that happens. It's that's why grunge was born.
Yeah.
Out
Right.
of the '80s hair metal.
I've been having a lot of conversations with other people who played music with me, other musicians in general, and we've been kind of having similar conversations in the sense that like we feel like there's a slight kind of like push in a lot of musicians that are kind of like maybe we want to start playing different types of music. I don't know. I feel a little bit of a shift in terms of like an industrial national scale.
Even are you guys familiar with Sturgill Simpson?
Yeah.
So like alt country, like Grammy or not? Was it Grammy or Country Music Award nominated? And then he's not even really playing alt country anymore. He's playing rock and doing soundtracks for anime. He's just like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be just one thing. That first album was it, but my tastes have changed. And and I think a lot of bands, you go back early on to like indie bands, a lot of bands changed who they were because they didn't know. You look at like the Replacements we talked about earlier, and Husker Du were hardcore, and then went to alt country and power pop just because they didn't know who they were yet.
Yeah. Change is good. Change is a good thing.
Yeah, and sometimes being recorded too early,
Yeah.
it can be a curse too.
You gotta
because-
honor yourself. You gotta honor yourself and what you want to do. Like Sturgill, like you're saying,
Yeah.
like he wants to do different things. So
Which is
it
awesome.
would be a crime if he didn't do what he wanted to do. We'd be getting inauthentic music.
And everyone grows as a musician. You
Yeah.
have to grow.
Yeah.
You hope you grow, I guess. Not everyone's going to grow as a musician, but it's going to change over time and mature because when you start playing music, you're young and eventually your views change. You can't always be. Kevin and I talked about this on the last one. Like you have, you go from high school problems to adult problems, and or you go from being unhappy to happy. It's just, it's just how it is.
How it goes,
But- So what do you think of the local scene overall?
It's a great local scene. It's buzzing.
Yeah. You like the local music, what you're hearing?
Yeah. I don't know how much like I end up checking out. That's like definitely a fault of mine. Like we're saying, we're just stuck in the past, or I'm at least stuck in the past.
But not always. You're also stuck in your own thing, and like that's what you're consuming. And we listened to a bunch of demos on the way over here, and like you're just raveling in your own art. So like that's also not a bad thing ever.
Right.
No, and that's cool. I tend to gravitate more towards the local scene because, like how I was saying that when I hear all this new music, it kind of sounds similar. To get something different, I'm getting that from the local scene.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate. It's something not necessarily. I don't mean mainstream. It's not mainstream in a bad way. Not that it's not capable of being mainstream, but it's just everyone's being a lot more explorative.
Exploration's happening, authentic sound, different sounds, different techniques. Like a realism to music. It brings it to you. Yeah.
Scooter and I, he's the owner of the Grape Room, had a conversation about national bands versus local bands, and somebody made the argument to him that why doesn't the club have more national bands come in, and you have local bands support them, and the point was valid, but I think the takeaway is that you're not going to have a national band that's going to give 110% like a local band does.
I agree.
And kills it, puts on a good show, draws, is trying because they're still trying to make that threshold happen for themselves. And that's why I love local music. I find myself listening to more local music than national bands. Just
and I agree with you. If you were to bring in a national band and have a Philly band local or open, you're not necessarily guaranteed that people are going to show up for that opening band either. They may just, I'm going to show up late because I just want to see this band. But if you're doing all Philly bands, people are coming to see those bands. So I think, personally, I would rather see the Grape Room not have national bands.
Right. Yeah, there's more at stake when it's all local bands.
Yeah.
There's everybody has something to prove, and they're trying to fight for their
hungry dogs running fast.
Exactly.
All right, I asked this of every Philly band when they come in. Do you have a favorite Philly band?
I could prop anybody up here. Here's my platform. We've already talked about Jamie. I mean, I think Jamie going on the queue is like a great thing.
Yeah.
Great that Kevin was involved in that.
I did not know that.
I did the sound
Did
for
you really?
that, and then like the feed that I like, the mix in the room was also the feed to the actual like studio. And I was like, oh my god, I better not miss this.
Yeah. I mean, Tisberries are tight. Like Tyler's cool.
It's funny. They're my next guest.
Are
on
they?
On the podcast.
I'm talking to you.
Do you want to be
in the same seat you'll be sitting in?
You want to be the co-host for them?
Do I want to be the co-host?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. You can back out later. If you
No.
want. You're just saying.
You just have to say yes now.
I was
I
just
had to
telling
say yes
Kevin.
now, yeah.
I was just telling Kevin I need a co-host. for
Sure,
that one,
I'll
so-
co-host. Yeah.
All right. I'll let
I'm
you
doing
know.
a good job.
Yeah, you're doing good.
But you guys, you fellas, what about?
Rich and Ant, who do you like?
I do like the Tisberries.
Yeah.
I like them too.
We missed them in Scranton. We wanted to hang out,
right.
but we were on our own paths of destruction. I think
I-
they and them, or they and us.
I was telling Kevin what impressed me about them was I just happened to tune into a Live at 5. So for those of you that don't know, the local alternative radio station every Friday at 5 o'clock has a local band in, and they do a couple. They do one cover and one original.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to tune in for the Tisberries one, not on
Nice.
purpose. I just happened to have it on. I'm driving, and they covered a Vampire Weekend song that had just come out, which I thought was really ballsy.
I think it was Harmony Hall.
Yeah, and it was really good.
Nice.
And that impressed me. I was like, yeah, I got to get these guys on
Yeah.
that bike because that takes some balls.
Yeah.
So plus I like their sound.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys, who else?
What about you, Ant?
I mean, Arch Palantine is one that come to mind. Like,
That's
definitely
who Kevin said.
Yeah, when we're on a bill with them, I'm always like, oh, cool. Like, I like hearing their stuff, and they always do cool things.
Anthony doing his thing. Other Ant.
Yeah.
But they bring something completely different, and they're
Yeah.
doing their own thing, and it's weird and very cool. So I definitely like them.
It's rock music too.
Yeah.
It's rock music. It's like
But it's so out there. It's like you can't place your finger on it either.
Yeah. It's
funky.
It is
Yeah,
funky.
I
I
like
definitely
that.
call
It's
funky.
You can
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
appreciate the
Yeah.
groove. Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
there's
so-
a groove happening nonetheless. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the point. Like that's why we gravitate
Yeah.
towards it.
And there's the good vocals. That's cool, too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it makes
definitely-
Yeah.
So I think I'm doing a disservice if I don't ask them to be on the
Yeah,
podcast.
definitely ask Derek to get on here.
All right.
Derek's
that,
great.
that will have to be a future one. All right, I'm gonna. This was the point in the show where I was gonna ask the studio audience if they had any questions, and there's only one.
All right, Ant.
There's
Let it rip. A lot of ants in the room.
If you have a question, come over to my mic. You can ask the question.
Make it good.
All right. So I guess this question is for all of you, including Kevin. And Fran, you can chime in. What is your goal for 2019? Music, movie, or anything? What's your goal for 2019? Go to more shows, or write more music, or anything ultimate 2019 goal.
2020.
2020.
So the first step is to get in my time machine.
Yeah, we need the time machine first.
All right. The phone booth or on the DeLorean.
Probably the DeLorean.
All right.
I would actually prefer the cave.
The cave is a good
cave.
one. Yeah.
All right, goals.
Goals. Oh,
So,
gee.
come
Now
on,
we're getting
you
back to
did-
the question.
You busted his chops. Now you got to
I
answer
know.
this
Now we
question.
got to answer the question. I'm in a daze. What about you?
I kind of said it. Listen to more modern music.
More modern music. Yeah, I think mine just has to fall down on getting the 2 records done.
Okay.
I want to have the studio record that we're doing at Aaron's, and I want to have something that's live, organic sounding from Ants.
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would love
that's
that.
our plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deviate from that. I'm pretty excited about the the music that we're making right now and getting the album that is already in progress and the basement set up, going and everything. I would just say to put out more music.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Rich?
tying up loose ends musically.
Yeah.
Basement is very motivating. Wrapping all that stuff up, and writing also too. I think I've had a couple of things that I've bought and attained over the past year that has rendered me able to write in a more modern capacity.
Yeah.
So it's going to be easier to just sort of go into it naturally. So I'm excited to kind of just write and just kind of just keep doing that as
Awesome.
much as I can.
Yeah.
I think my.
Yeah, I got a good
okay.
goal.
Oh, go
I'll
ahead.
shout
Let's
someone
hear it.
out here. I want to do a collab with Esco the Guest. All right? He's my buddy Sam Thomas.
All right.
All right? I want to do a collab with him. He's a hip-hop guy.
All right.
All right?
I would
And I
love
think that would be pretty good. So when the basement's set up, I'm going to try to do collabs with as many people as I can.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
That'd be
why
very
not?
cool.
Sam's phenomenal.
I would
So,
love to hear that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good goal.
My goal.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think, over the last couple years, every year I've been seeing less and less shows.
Uh-huh.
I think I need to get out to more live music, especially locally. It's been getting harder and harder, I think, for me. So I'd like to get out more and delve back in more to more episodes of the podcast and interviews.
Yeah.
Definitely, I feel most comfortable in that space. So that's my. So if I go to more live shows, I can promote you guys even more.
Right,
That's my. And a big goal is I want one of you local bands to hit it nationally. Just one. All it takes is one. It's got to start somewhere.
Hungry dogs.
Cole, you have any? No questions? All right. That's the end of the studio question session.
Thanks.
So what's next for Knightlife?
What's next? More music, more music, more music.
All right.
That's
and
like the
hopefully
continuing theme.
and hopefully 2 albums.
Yeah, 2 albums.
right.
That's
Yep.
the goal.
All right. And upcoming gigs. What do you
Coming
got?
gigs.
Promote yourself.
Now, Friday night, 124. And then the Friday in February the 1st. That's a Saturday, yeah, Kev?
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday?
Is
See,
it?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
They're all in a row,
I got the
man.
calendar
He's
right
got the
there.
calendar.
February 7th is the Kyber Pass Pub.
Kyber Pass, yeah, but the 1st is Connie's Rick Rack.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
first is a
Also true.
Saturday.
That's
Yeah,
good.
the 7th is a Friday.
Let's restart.
Okay.
I didn't realize Kyber Pass is still doing shows.
Well, they are now.
Yeah.
DVT.
Yeah.
Vince Voles.
All right.
My guys.
Yeah, they just reopened. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin, you have any gigs coming up?
I do. Andor is playing. I'm not going to sell.
Dude, you're
here.
playing
Oh,
on
come on.
Saturday.
No.
You're playing on Saturday.
I saw
night
a
with
really
Saint
great.
Brendan and Jamie and the Garden Heart.
There you go.
and
I'd rather
Andor
you say
is
it than me.
playing.
I'm here to celebrate, not sell. So
All right,
like,
all right.
Celebrate,
Awesome.
not sell.
That's what I'm
Fuck,
doing.
not
I just
sell.
wanted to-
Sell me, man.
I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
Thanks, but
Even though I did a brutal job of selling, the first step is January 24th.
where are we going? We don't even know where we're
Okay.
supposed
But
to
we're
go.
here. We're here for you. You're supposed to sell right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Not sell, promote. You're
Promote.
supposed to
Yeah,
promote.
well, that's,
That's a better way to. You're not.
I'm always on it. If you want to know if a nightlife show's happening, check the page like a Friday or Saturday. If there's nothing's happening.
All right.
If there's something, you'll see me.
All right. So, what are your social media handles for the band?
At Knightlife_band on Instagram, at Knightlife_band on Twitter, Knightlife on Facebook. Go ahead.
Knightlife.club
All right.
on the internet.
Bandcamp. Is there a Bandcamp page?
There is a Bandcamp. Nightlifeband.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's something in a similar vein.
You can find us on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah.
Find us there.
All right. Awesome. So, Bruce, Rich, Ant, thank you so much for coming out today on this snowy day. It looks like it kind of stopped, so I can feel that you'll make it home safe.
Thanks for
It does
having
look
us.
idyllic.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Fran.
Thanks for the muffin.
Oh, anytime.
Muffin,
Yeah,
Plenty
we
of
couldn't.
coffee.
OJ.
It's always great.
It's typically that the tradition is pizza and beer, so people are less combative when they have a full stomach and a slight buzz.
Yeah.
So, but we couldn't do that because we met so early in the morning. So we did coffee and muffins. So
This is our speed.
caffeinated.
Yeah,
This is our speed.
absolutely.
If there was a day to do it, it was today.
It was a perfect day for it. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you for
Of course,
coming
thank
in.
you
as
for having
well.
me. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So please pick up new music by Knightlife when it comes out, or Forever Fight. Anywhere you buy music, you can also stream them on Apple Music or Spotify. Thank you for everyone who tuned in to the F Money Show podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Fran_Chismar and on Facebook at the F Money Show. You can listen to the F Money Show every Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on i99radio.com. Also follow the podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, or you can even just ask Alexa to play the F Money Show with Fran Chismar. There's even a Alexa skill to add us to your daily briefing so you can listen to us every day. Coming up next episode, we have the Tisburys, along with special guest co-host, Bruce McKnight.
I'll be there.
You can't back out now. Now
No, I'm locked in.
Now it's locked in. So how about listening? We'll end this with listening to a song from Forever Fight. So do you have a preference on which song I was asking you guys earlier what your favorite song was off the album, and I said mine was Slow Down, but you each had different preferences.
Dude, play Behind the Past.
Behind
That's
the
the
Past.
song.
All
Behind
right.
the Past.
Yeah, that was actually. I said Tangerines at first, but that immediately, as soon as I said, I was like, oh yeah, Behind the Past.
Yeah, it gets stuck in your head pretty easily.
All right,
especially
so-
when you're playing.
All right, so that's your preference. We're going to do Behind the Past?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I am Fran Chismar, and we will see you all when the needle drops.
from the edge. I barely got a set.